Chairman, I think it's insane that the gentlelady doesn't have an argument, but she's going to refer to me and some of my colleagues.
Mr. Donald,
we were from the Third Reich. This is insane.
You're going to look at 14, 15-years as a bunch of criminals?
It's insane.
Oh,
Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Ms. Tlaib?
Please.
Is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting card.
Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it
goes. It's okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
hold myself accountable.
What's going on, patriots? Welcome back to Rights Rally, where we talk about truth, liberty, and standing up for our country when the so-called leaders in Washington try to tear it down from the inside. Now, today, we've got to talk about this congressional hearing clip that's been making the rounds, featuring none other than Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib from Michigan. Yeah, that's right, the same one who never misses a chance to bash this country and its institutions. This time, she's ranting about Washington, D.C., how it's supposedly being defamed, and how the federal government shouldn't be involved in local law enforcement. But when you listen closely, this isn't just about D.C. It's about pushing a narrative that the people who enforce the law are the problem, not the criminals breaking it. So let's break this down, point by point, and talk about what's really going on here.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Tlaib from Michigan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I think it's really important. I mean, we're talking about 700,000 people that live here, and I feel like their voice gets completely just dismissed. And so, if I may, Mr. Chair, ask unanimous consent to enter the record. The Washington Post poll of D.C. residents found 8 out of 8 in 10 opposed Trump's taking over of their local police and sending in federal troops.
Without objections ordered.
I think it's also really important to understand, the incredible kind of slanderous, defamation, I don't know what to call it. They're just burying Washington, D.C. You just heard them speak about our nation's capital in that way, in a way that I feel very much like that's not what I see. I see people walking around with their families, people enjoying time to see these beautiful, incredible, beautiful monuments and everything. And there's a pride here, too. And so I just want to bring the D.C. residents into this committee, because I feel like they are being made invisible. And this really ugly picture that is not reflective. And I'm from Detroit. I've seen it happen to my city. And it's despicable in a way that I feel like really goes up against our values. One of the things that I know in every abuse of power that, we let President Trump and the administration get away with in D.C., it will be replicated. It will be expanded across the country, and it is going to tear apart our communities. Mr. Jackson, I talked to you about a little bit about this, but I think it's important to understand that we do have a mental health crisis, that we have a housing crisis, affordability crisis. Can you police any of those away?
No.
You can't police away homelessness. And the way they talk about our homeless neighbors is so, no wonder there's violence increasing towards homeless neighbors. I see it already, the brutality of it. When we see housing costs go up, when we see, again, the lack or dismissiveness of the mental health crisis that we continue to grow. And it's not just this administration, and the previous administrations as well. No one has moved with the urgency that is needed. Just last week, the committee approved over a dozen bills regarding Washington, D.C. And, I'm just curious. Criminalize children. My colleague from Boston talked about this. It basically interfered with legislation already passed by the local government. Was anyone on this panel consulted? Any of you? Raise your hand if you were consulted on any of these bills. Yeah.
We were not.
One of the things that, AG, I've been listening to you. One of the bills actually eliminates your position completely. What effect would that have? Completely eliminating your position in regards to be able to do the job that you do to protecting all the families in Washington, D.C.
We'll start with the fact that more than 70% of the residents of the District of Columbia overwhelmingly voted for having an independent elected attorney general.
That's right.
And that's a recognition of the fact that when an attorney general is directly accountable to the people, directly responsive to the people, we are much better at doing our job in terms of addressing housing affordability and conditions in slumlords, seniors and consumers who are being scammed, addressing the issues that are most important to D.C. residents, because I am accountable to them.
I read wage theft is an issue, workplace discrimination. I mean, there's a number of issues that need to be addressed, and they're not going to address that. They want to paint you all as this ugly, dark, all just out in the street. I mean, the way, it's just unbelievable because they all live here. I don't see it. I don't see what they see. I don't understand why we're allowing that to happen, because I actually think it's going to hurt our communities. People are going to look at Washington, D.C. folks in a way that I think is going to be very painful, but also, you know, I don't know, Mr. Jackson, I heard the stories. People didn't leave their homes. They weren't leaving their homes. Businesses didn't see people coming into, I mean, that's what we want in our nation's capital. Stay in your house, don't move, don't go anywhere, stay fearful. It's unbelievable that my colleagues continue again to eject this narrative and this rhetoric in regards to it. But I think it's important, Mr. Chair, just like in D.C., home rule was one out of Black freedom struggle in the fight for civil rights. We can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say like so personally as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process. We're not attacking people here. And I think it's really important. We need to stand up against this. Fascist takeover, that's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in D.C. and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames and or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Will the gentlelady yield to a question?
Yeah, I think it's really important.
Will the gentlelady
No, I
yield?
don't yield. I don't even have time. I can tell you.
Your time's expired.
It is expired, but
Tlaib,
Mr. Chair,
I've
but you all live
like
here,
Mr.
and
Tlaib.
you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our
Mr.
nation's
Tlaib.
capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think
Wrong.
it's insane that the
But you're
gentlelady
gonna
doesn't
look
have
at
an
Washington,
argument, but she's going to
D.C. as a
refer
bunch
to
of
me and some of
criminals.
my
You yield to
colleagues.
Mr.
Chair,
Donald.
We were from the
you know
Third
this.
Reich. This is
You're
insane.
gonna look at
It's
14,
insane.
15-year-olds as
It's
a bunch of
insane.
criminals?
It's insane.
Oh,
Do I look like a
you're
member of the
right,
Third
Donald.
Reich to you, Ms.
Please,
Tlaib?
please,
Is that what I look like to
please.
you?
You're the one taking your voting
Is that what
card,
you think?
giving it
Is that
to
what you
somebody,
think?
giving
Is
it
that
a
what you
card.
think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say, but to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Regular order.
That's okay, but it's okay, right?
That is not how it
It's
goes.
okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself
D.C.
accountable.
Mr. Tlaib.
Washington,
Hold
D.C.
your
out
own
of your
self
mouth.
accountable. How
Keep
about
it out of
that?
your mouth.
Hold your own
I'm
self
trying,
accountable.
Mr.
How about that?
Free D.C. and make sure you
All right.
vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to somebody
Mr.
else.
Tlaib. All right, time. Chair recognizes Ms. Boebert from Colorado. Order. Wait a minute, Ms. Boebert. All right.
Tlaib starts off by saying that DC's 700,000 residents are being ignored. Okay, let's pause right there. DC is not a state. It was never meant to be one. Our founding fathers made that clear. The capital was to be neutral ground, not a political entity competing with the states. The people of DC already have representation. They elect local leaders, they have a city council, and they even get special treatment in federal funding. What they don't get is statehood, because that's not how the Constitution works. So when Tlaib cries that DC residents are silenced, what she really means is, she wants to add 2 guaranteed Democrat Senate seats. That's the end game. She goes on about how people are painting DC in an ugly light. You know what's actually ugly? Crime. The carjackings, the shootings, the murders. DC is one of the most dangerous cities in America right now. And instead of focusing on fixing it, the left wants to talk about how we're hurting the city's feelings. Sorry, but that's not leadership. That's delusion. You can't PR spin your way out of violent crime. You can't talk nice to criminals and hope they stop. Then she warns that if Trump or anyone else sends federal troops or takes over local policing, it's abuse of power. Really? When the city is burning, when police are being attacked, when law and order breaks down, the federal government absolutely has a duty to step in, especially in the nation's capital. If you can't keep your own streets safe, the feds will. That's not fascism. That's protecting citizens. Here's another gem, she says. You can't police away homelessness. Well, you can't ignore it away either, Congresswoman. We've got people sleeping on sidewalks right next to federal buildings. You've got crime growing out of homeless encampments, drugs, and violence spilling into communities. And the solution from the left is always more funding and less enforcement. Compassion without accountability is chaos. And that's what we're seeing. Tlaib makes a big deal that nobody was consulted on some new D.C. bills. Maybe because the local leadership can't get a handle on things? When your city council spends more time debating pronouns than protecting people, don't be surprised when Congress, which does have constitutional authority over D.C., steps in to do its job. She's outraged that one of these bills would eliminate D.C.'s elected Attorney General position. Okay, but what exactly has that AG done? Crime's up. Businesses are leaving. Maybe the people in charge aren't doing their jobs. Accountability means results, not just being elected. She claims people were too scared to leave their homes when federal troops were in the city. Yeah, during riots. Maybe people stayed home because of violent mobs, not because soldiers were keeping the peace. Law enforcement protects people. Rioters terrorize them. That's the difference the left refuses to see. Tlaib then tries to tie D.C.'s home rule to the civil rights movement. That's classic emotional manipulation. Civil rights were about equality under the law, not about letting a failing city government make reckless policies without oversight. It's insulting to compare civil rights heroes to bureaucrats in D.C. City Hall. And then, here's the line that really lit the fire. She actually says we're witnessing a fascist takeover. Really? Because we want safe streets? Because we want accountability? Because we don't want mobs taking over the Capitol? Throwing around words like fascism cheapens real history. My grandfather fought actual fascists. He didn't risk his life so modern politicians could label anyone who disagrees with them a Nazi. That's shameful. By the end, the hearing falls apart. Shouting, accusations, personal insults. And that, right there, shows exactly what's wrong with our politics today. The left doesn't want discussion, they want domination. They don't debate ideas, they silence opponents. They don't build communities, they divide them. At the end of the day, patriots, this hearing wasn't about helping D.C. It was about power, plain and simple. The left wants control. They want to paint anyone who disagrees as an extremist, while they push policies that destroy cities from within. But we see through it. We love this country. We believe in law and order. And we're not afraid to stand up and say, enough is enough. If you agree that America needs leaders who defend her, not defame her, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more common sense commentary. God bless you, God bless our police officers, and God bless the United States of America.